Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. This is Captain Ephialtes speaking, and I'd like to welcome you on board airline We Don't Care About Greece, flight 666, with service to as far away from Metatron as possible. My first officer, Lupita Nyong'o, and the rest of our crew are thrilled to have you with us. Our flight time today is expected to be as many hours as needed, and we will be cruising at an altitude of 35,000 feet. The weather along our route is looking as good as possible, all things considering. Greece would have been a lot better, and we anticipate a smooth flight into our destination. Please sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight.
Nolan, it's me. Nolan.
Hey, noble ones, welcome back to my channel. So, I don't know if you remember this, but at one point in one of my recent videos, I mentioned the fact that the Greeks, meaning people from Greece, people who actually spoke for the country itself, wrote a letter, check this out, a letter to Hollywood and Nolan's Odyssey cast from us Greeks. Boom. This can be found on GreekCityTimes.com, and I have mentioned it, clicked it briefly, but I didn't actually read it. And I'm going to read it now. We're going to give it some space and time, as it should be. Give voice to the Greek people. All right, let's see what the Greeks have to say about
Nolan.
this letter is for you.
Nolan.
To the cast and creative team of Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, we write to you as Greeks, not as fragments of antiquity, not as echoes from museum displays, and not as characters sealed in marble, but as a living people whose story has never stopped being written. Bro, man, sounds just like the far right to me, am I right? First, we wish you well. Okay, well, we'll have to agree to disagree on that one, dear Greeks. But apart from that, I agree with you guys. Fantastic. And I appreciate being decent. Great. The trashing of Nolan's film is going to be cinema. Cinema has always carried the power to reimagine ancient text, to cross borders of language and time, and to reintroduce old stories to new generations. Homer's Odyssey belongs, in many ways, to the shared cultural imagination of humanity. We understand the ambition behind bringing it to the screen on a global scale, and we recognize the artistic tradition of reinterpretation that has surrounded these epics for centuries. But, here we go. This is the part that I like. But, we also ask you to consider something that is often overlooked in modern retellings of Greek stories. We did not vanish. You know, this is clearly, I already see that this is way more forgiving and decent and nice and calm than Nolan deserves. And Hollywood, in fact, is freaking satanic worshipping pieces of scum. But I do appreciate it. It's very honest, very decent, very humble. But when they say they did not get extinguished, guys, this is a slap in the face of Nolan and every single person who has said, it's a global story, why don't you want to be inclusive? And they didn't place the Greeks. So they have every right. They're being nice, wonderful, but they have every right to say this. And to anyone who's going to gaslight and say, oh, come on, are you saying it's this because you don't want to see black people on screen? Go fuck yourself. They are the ones that are nice, and I'm the one who's actually going to tell them what these people deserve so that we can balance. Yeah? Okay. Greek people did not disappear after the age of myth. Absolutely. Greek culture was not frozen in classical marble. Absolutely. That's a beautiful, very poetic way to put it. Man, the Greeks. Yeah, that's just a proof right there, by the way. Very philosophical. Greek language was not extinguished in antiquity. We are still here. Powerful. For more than 3,000 continuous years, Greek identity has persisted through transformation rather than disappearance, from the Mycenaean world that gave rise to the Homeric epics, through the classical city-states of Athens, Sparta, Corinth, and Thebes, into the Hellenistic period that spread Greek language and thought across the Mediterranean under Alexander's successors, through the Roman and Byzantine era, where Greek remained a dominant language of administration, philosophy, and theology, into the Ottoman centuries, where identity was preserved through language, faith, I would say where identity was preserved regardless of what the Ottomans did, but whatever, language, faith, and community, and finally into the modern Greek state that emerged through revolution and continues today within Europe and the wider world. 100% chef's kiss. Like this. Chef's kiss. Efcharisto. At every stage, something essential remained unbroken: language, memory, and cultural continuity. So basically, all three things that Nolan took and flushed down the toilet. Greek is still spoken today, the oldest continuous surviving language in Europe, not reconstructed, not revived, but lived. Yeah, and of course it's modern Greek, but still it is connected, obviously, 100%, totally. That continuity matters when stories like the Odyssey are retold. Odysseus is not only a universal symbol of endurance, struggle, and homecoming, he's also part of the cultural inheritance that has been carried through every one of those historical layers. Exactly, historical layers. And this is important because the clowns, every single clown out there who's defending Nolan, casting and race swapping and all the rest of disgraceful mess that he has done with this production, they keep telling you it's just a myth, bro. No, there are historical layers. The Greek are right, once again. But before we continue, let's have a word from today's sponsor. Recently, a jury ordered Meta and YouTube to pay millions for their role in designing and promoting addictive platforms. They knew their platforms could contribute to anxiety, depression, and body image issues, but did not share those risks while prioritizing profits. The recent historic verdict underscores the consequences of those decisions. If you or your child spent years growing up on social media and experienced serious mental health struggles, you should hear this. Morgan & Morgan is stepping up to hold these platforms accountable for the harm they caused. You can use the link in my description or scan the QR code to take a short quiz to see if you qualify for a case. You may be entitled to a potential recovery of up to $1,000. Retold by Byzantine scholars, preserved in manuscripts copied through the medieval world, studied during the Renaissance, and still taught, spoken, and reinterpreted in Greece today. This is why conversations about representation matter deeply to us. Well, yeah, of course, because then again, they are the only ones who haven't been represented on this mockery of a movie. We are not asking for exclusion or limitation. We are not arguing against diversity. Don't worry, I'll do that. I'll argue against diversity, all right? Because diversity is code for anti-white. You know I'm right. You know it's true. But that's fine. I mean, they're being nice. Nor against the reinterpretation. Greek culture itself has always been shaped by exchange, migration, and encounter across centuries. What we are asking is something simpler and more human. Let's go. That when Greek stories are retold on a global stage, Greek people are not rendered invisible within them. All the Nolan fanboys and all the Afrocentric garbage out there and trash and all the radical leftists that are so offended. Are you saying you don't want to see black people? You can't say anything against him. You can complain about me because I can be harsh, all right? Fine. Complain about me. You can say, yeah, but Metatron is an asshole. Okay, what about this, though? This is the most humble. You can't say this is unfair and still think you are the good guys. Like, it's impossible. Because to anyone out there who says, they just exaggerate. Are they saying this because of a black woman? That's what they're going to do. Okay. Now take everything that you read here, remove Greek and put Nigeria, and then add, or Sudan, and add all the, of course, the part about their own culture, their own history. And then tell me again, are you really that mad because there was a white man cast, huh? If you swap things, everything collapses. Every single argument. Then every gaslighter out there, mental manipulator, that has been complaining and crying like a little baby about my videos about this, or any other person, Nedrotic, Al Jokes, everyone who has spoken about this, Asmongol, Critical Drinker, all of our intellectual opponents, all they do collapses the split second you swap. The split second you take the variables, okay, right, everything you said, everything exactly as you complained. It's a myth, who cares? You have a problem because you cast a black woman. Take it, remove the variables, and replace with white. And then replace with Nigeria or Sudan or South Africa, whatever you want. So are you crying because this original myth is just an African myth? And are you crying because the original black character has been swapped and we cast two white people? Is that what you're doing? They would never do it. They can't do it. Because they're anti-white scum. It's not about logics. It's not about reason. It's not about justice. It's about the unjust erasure of the West. That's my TED talk, all right? In recent years, the film industry has rightly placed increasing emphasis on representation, ensuring that cultures are acknowledged, voiced, and included. Okay, right. But let's not be too nice, okay? Because they didn't do it rightly. Had they done it rightly, we want to see more black people talk about black stories. No, they race swapped white. You're trying to complain about Nolan, as you should. You're trying to push for Greek representation, which is correct, but you're also at the same time trying to say, no, we are for inclusivity. It doesn't matter. The left will still hate you anyways. Okay, the radical left will hate you anyways. They don't care. So you will say this. I'm just going to speak to people because these are wonderful Greek people. I love you guys. But you haven't fought what I have fought for a decade, so I know exactly what we're dealing with. When you say the film industry has rightly placed increasing emphasis on representation, that's right, voiced, yes. The split second you put a but in here anywhere, the radical left, you know what they're going to do? They're going to say, you're saying this, but are you actually saying you don't want to see black people on screen? It's useless. It's pointless. I mean, feel free. It's your letter. I'm just telling you, waste your time. So, rightly placed increased emphasis on representation, ensuring the cultures are acknowledged, voiced, and included, and lived experience is not erased in the process of storytelling. Indigenous stories increasingly involve indigenous voices. You know, I agree with this. The problem is that, as I have mentioned on a dedicated video, there are forces now that say that white people are not indigenous to Europe. And that includes the Greeks, by the way, because you're not white until they need you to be white in order to oppress you as the oppressor, pretending that you are the oppressor. So when you say indigenous, I agree. Each country has indigenous people, unless you're white. That's the new thing. Cultural consultation is becoming more standard practice. Identity is treated as part of artistic responsibility. We ask only that this awareness extends to Greek heritage as well. And while that may be a very well-reasoned, well-argued, compassionate, empathetic, nice, fair request, they'll say no. They will say, are you saying that you have a problem with a black woman being cast as the most beautiful woman in the West? Is that what you're saying? That's what you're going to get. That's what they will tell you. So your request, my friend, is right. Me and you, Greek people, we are on the same side. But it's fair. So you have my sympathy. This works with me. This works with me because I am for correctly representing and respecting every culture and people on earth, regardless of phenotypic traits, genetics, everything. I want to respect, but it doesn't work with them. Not because Greek identity is fragile, but because it's continuous. Yeah, sure. In discussions around the Odyssey, some have argued that mythology belongs to the world and should not be bound by cultural origin. Exactly, and the same people that do this would never do it if you race swap an original African, or at this point, POC, non-white. It's the truth, guys. You know I'm right. You know I'm right. Even if you hate my guts, you know I'm right. That's exactly how every single time in the comments, the videos, the hit pieces about me, and all the other creators that argue for the Greeks in favor of Greek representation, all they do, they tell us mythology belongs to the world. It's not bound by cultural origin if it's white. They don't say it, but that's what they mean, because they would never be okay with an entire white cast for an Indonesian myth. You know I am right. Others see casting diversity as a reflection of the modern global audience rather than historical specificity. And that's me. We understand those perspectives, but universality does not require disconnection from origin. 100%. 100%. Absolutely, man. The power of this is philosophy right here. This is thousands of years and thousands of thousands of generations of Greek wisdom. Look at this. Look at that. I couldn't have said it better. A story can belong to humanity while still recognizing the people and language from which it first emerged. Okay, so I challenge everyone who's going to have a problem with this letter. How do you counter this? A story can belong to humanity while still recognizing the people and language from which it first emerged. How is this far right? We say this not in anger, but in recognition, because too often Greek history is treated as something that ended rather than something that continued, as if Greece exists only in the classical past rather than through Byzantine continuity, through Ottoman endurance. I love that they said endurance. That's it. That's the truth right there. Through revolutionary rebirth and into the present day in cities, villages, islands, and diaspora communities across the world. 100%. So as you step into Homer's world, into seas, wanderings, gods, and returning kings, we ask that you carry this awareness with you, that Greece is not only a setting in antiquity, it is a living country. Greek people are not historical figures, we are contemporaries. Man, this has been slapping Nolan all over the place. Nolan didn't even read this. He took $6 million from your taxpayers' money from Greece, which for whatever the hell reason the government gave him, he took your money. He didn't even give you half a second to read. He's too busy. You're below him. I guarantee Nolan, nor anyone in that cast, least of all Lupita Nyong'o, who specifically said she doesn't give a about your myth, because she said about Greek story, it's just a myth. Who Who cares about historical accuracy? You're just racist. That's Lupita Nyong'o right there. That's why I'll take a spanakopita over any Lupita to be cast as Helen of Troy. If you had cast a spanakopita for the entire movie, you just put the spanakopita on a chair, and then you have the Trojans be like, oh man, that woman, I would launch 1,000 ships. It's the Greeks that launch 1,000 ships. But you know what I mean? If it's a spanakopita on the plate, right, sitting right next to Agamemnon, right next to Menelaos, I don't care. I would have preferred that one over Lupita. Why? Because Lupita said that. She said, oh, yeah, it's just a myth. So those who talk about historicity, I covered it. Historical accuracy, they're just racists. But then on her previous interview, after filming Wakanda, she told us how important it is to correctly represent the culture, people, and language, even though Wakanda doesn't even fucking exist. The costumes, she said, the costumes need to be accurate. Meaning, because it was slightly inspired from like Maasai people and a few other African people, even though Wakanda does not fucking exist, you have to be accurate. The language, the costume, it's important because it's a form of respect, she said, which clearly means she does not respect Greece. Disgusting. And when future opportunities arise to tell stories from any period of Greek history, ancient, medieval, or modern, we hope you will remember the Greek heritage is not absent from those stories. It is present, living, and still speaking for itself. He will forget it because he doesn't care. He showed it. I hope he doesn't do anything else like this, but if he does, you can guarantee he would do it all over again. We wish you success with the film. I don't. I hope they trash it. I hope they throw tomatoes at him, the entire cast, and the whole production, the film. I do. And respect for the craft that brings such an epic to life, and we hope it contributes to cinema that continues to expand imagination without erasing origin. How can it, though? Like, let's be honest. Like, you're being nice, I appreciate, but how can it? How can it foster imagination without erasing if that's exactly what they're doing? They are reimagining through erasing because of the fact that they hate you. They think you're an oppressor. They hate you. We did not vanish. We are still here. Through Mycenaean echoes, through classical philosophy, through Hellenistic expansion, through Byzantine continuity, through Ottoman endurance, through modern nationhood, we remain, always have been. See, this is what I mean. Whoever wrote this, it's lovely. Okay, you have, I think you good people. But these days, you need someone like me when it comes to these issues, and you will always have my support no matter what you choose to write. Okay. And I think your words were beautiful, but they will continue. So you need someone like me. You need to be harsh because that's what they deserve. You, however, did not deserve what they did to you, my dear Greek friends. You didn't. Which is why I'm going to keep fighting for you. If you appreciate my content so far and wish to help ensure my ability to continue to tell it how it is, regardless of any possible backlash, please support this channel on Patreon. Any support helps me and my team of academics keep the channel strong and gives us the means to fight back against the political rewriting of history. Stand with us, form the wall, defend the truth.